Okay, this will be interesting. Ian has a Costas on combat philosophy and add-on disarmament in Midnight. I love that. Disarmament. Stand down. The add-ons arms race is coming to a close. Perhaps, perhaps. This is from Wowhead by Squishy. Good job. World of Warcraft Midnight. So, game director Ian Hazakostas has released a large blog answering many of the community's questions on the add-on Disarmament in Midnight, including what's changing, why now, and what's next. So, hopefully, if you guys aren't familiar, there's a big scaling back of what add-ons have access to in WoW, which is going to change the way add-ons work and provide information and whatever in WoW. So, it's been a big subject of discussion in the community, and it sounds like Ian is gonna give us a couple of the deets about what they're thinking, so let's have a look. Blizzard, as we move into the beta phase of Midnight testing and invite a much larger wave of players in to experience the expansion and provide feedback, I wanted to take time to recap the planned changes to add-on capabilities and the accompanying broader changes to combat and encounters. This will be a long post, but stick with me. There's a lot to cover. All right. It might be a minute reading through this, but this is interesting to me. I am an add-on enjoyer, but at the same time, I'm okay with them sort of scaling things back. That'll be a kind of a fun, fresh start sort of thing, right? Be cool. Over the past few years, or sorry, over the course of the past year, we have been talking about add-on changes. But that communication has been spread across multiple videos, posts, interviews, and ongoing conversations with add-on authors. This fragmentation has contributed to confusion and concern across the community. The main goal of this article is to dispel as much of this confusion as possible and hopefully provide reassurance around these planned changes. So yeah, like people come in the chat like, so I heard they're deleting all add-ons from WoW. It's like, wait a minute. Let's get a little more details on this situation. To be clear, it is entirely natural for players who have spent countless hours experiencing Azeroth through the lens of their favorite add-ons to feel nervous about big changes to that ecosystem. While some players who use few or no add-ons may be shrugging their shoulders, for many others this may be the single largest change an expansion has ever made to World of Warcraft. We take none of this lightly. That's what I'm saying. It's pretty big. This is like a pretty ambitious and potentially risky change. This is actually a huge deal. So this new expansion has got some serious sort of risk involved. They're taking some big chances, but I think it really could pan out well because it's going to make the game a little bit more of like a sort of commonly shared experience, and it's going to make the game a little bit more comfortable for new and returning players. So I think it could be good. Let's see. Add-on disarmament. I love that, the way they're talking about that. Why? So, if we know this is a risky change, why are we making it? For over 20 years now, the customizability of the World of Warcraft UI has been a pillar of the game, allowing players to use add-ons to tailor the look and feel of the game to suit their preferences. Numerous improvements to the base UI over the years have been inspired and informed by these community efforts. Yeah, a lot of things in WoW that they put in are definitely just like their version of some of the most popular and like, I guess, useful add-ons. So definitely. But the power we give to add-on authors has always come with the risk of tools that can distort moment-to-moment gameplay, which has led the development team to restrict add-ons capabilities several times over the years. In past incidents, we typically were able to address issues by limiting add-ons access to some specific functionality. For example, add-ons automatically selecting abilities and targets in the game's early days, or using player positions and clever math to build radar overlays a decade later. This time around, however, the cause for concern is subtler and more pervasive. Interesting. Over the past few expansions, the community has increasingly shifted from a focus on add-ons that display information in a particular way to add-ons that process that information to drive combat decisions and recommendations. Interesting. As an RPG with cast times and cooldowns governing most actions, a huge portion of skill in WoW has always rested in moment-to-moment decision-making. By its nature, a computer with access to complete information about the current combat state in WoW, allies and enemies, buffs and debuffs, active casts, cooldown state, health, and more, will be able to make the correct decision far faster than any human, and can do so with unerring accuracy. Interesting. Such add-ons move beyond the realm of personal preference, offering an objective advantage in moment-to-moment combat. As a result, players often will be told to download specific add-ons to improve their class performance, or to defeat a specific encounter. Guilds, or even pugs, commonly require the use of specific add-ons for mid-combat coordination. While we have never designed for add-ons, in the sense of making a specific encounter or class mechanic with the intent that players would write add-ons to solve a given puzzle, we have inevitably had to design around them for the past several expansions. We have to accept that even in non-cutting-edge content, a majority of players will turn to any available tools to make things easier. Yeah, they're gonna give an example here, I think, but I remember in Ovanax, like, how the heck are you gonna do that raid without without the weak auras? And I feel like we spent an entire like raid nights just futzing with the add-ons to make sure everybody was using the same one and the same weak auras and it was working properly. So saying that they didn't design encounters for that, but they still realized that people would do that, I mean, I think it's going to allow them to make encounters different too. But let's have a look what they say. For example, when we design a boss in a normal or heroic difficulty raid, we have a tuning target in mind. While we risk causing frustration if we overshoot the mark, when we release an encounter that puts up very little resistance, we often get feedback that the boss was unsatisfying. Yeah. In a similar vein, when we're designing a class mechanic, we are trying to express class fantasy while also offering engaging moment-to-moment gameplay. But with add-ons instantly solving a raid coordination challenge or collapsing a nuanced combat decision into a simple binary, we would get feedback supported by data that our design fell flat. Yeah. And so we would add an extra layer of complexity to a class mechanic, or tighten an encounter's tuning to give players less time to react, in order to deliver the level of challenge and engagement that players are expecting. But that shift has left people who prefer not to use these add-ons at a clear disadvantage, making WoW less approachable in the process. Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. Like, you want to listen to players' feedback, you know, but at the same time, yeah, you know, people say, well, I just use an add-on to solve that. It's too easy. It's like, okay, well, what do you guys want? You guys want to be more complicated? Then we have to use add-ons for the encounter. This is crazy. It's like, yeah, that's tough. That's real. That's tough. All right, so we are looking to level the playing field. The guiding philosophy for our approach is a straightforward: add-ons should no longer offer a competitive advantage in WoW combat. Add-ons should no longer offer a competitive advantage in WoW combat. Interesting. They should remain as robust tools for aesthetic customization and personalized presentation of information, but they should not be able to make a player more likely to succeed in combat against an encounter or another player. I've seen discussion around the word competitive, with some understandably noting that they aren't playing in the MDI or trying to get into the Raid Hall of Fame or arena leaderboards, and wondering why design shift about competitive advantage should apply to them. But the consequences of add-ons impact creep into all facets of the game, and this uneven playing field is experienced by all players. Whether someone is trying to defeat Dimensius on normal difficulty with their friends and family guild, trying to get a foothold Mythic Plus, or trying to be the best of the best. That's very interesting, because I do kind of feel like the way information is presented could give you a competitive advantage. So I kind of wonder how deep that's going to go. That's very interesting. That is very interesting indeed. Yeah, I mean, again, I have played with weak auras and add-ons, and you know, it's useful to have it, but at the same time, it's kind of a pain in the butt to set it up. And I am definitely like excited to see how the game feels without that stuff. I mean, it just an out of the box, like good to go experience sounds actually really fun and good for the game, especially since it's been out for a long time, and the game definitely goes through various changes as time goes on. And you know, we do number squishes, we do all kinds of different stuff to sort of like bring the game back down a little bit to let it not like scale into like oblivion. This is like we're scaling back even like the experience of the game, so it's not like some people like want to start all over with like WoW 2. This isn't really quite that insane, but changing the way that we interact with the game this significantly is almost like another really big like shift in how WoW goes into the future. This is exciting. Add-on disarmament, what's changing? In pursuing these philosophical goals, we have tried to take a surgical approach that limits add-ons' ability to process information, with the least possible impact on their ability to display it. Our engineering team has been regularly sharing updates to the API, which is short for Application Programming Interface, essentially the functions that add-on authors can use to access and manipulate WoW UI data with add-on authors, but a simplified explanation of what we're changing is as follows. Information about the current combat state is designated as a secret value that can be displayed by add-ons, but not known by them. In essence, combat events are in a black box. Add-ons can change the size or shape of the box, and they can paint it a different color, but what they can't do is look inside the box. So, in Midnight, add-ons can still change the location of your buffs or debuffs, and the size and shape of the associated frames. They can change the size and shape and texture of enemy nameplates and cast bars, and many similar UI elements, but they can't know with certainty whether you or your target have a specific debuff currently active, or what the cooldown of a given ability is. Okay, that is actually big for Arena. Yeah, so you do not know what the cooldown of the enemy kick is. You do not know how much longer they have until their defensive cooldowns are back up, or their stun is back up. I think that the game will show you things like they even have a big debuffs like thing next to the nameplate that you can enable. So it will show you maybe when they're stunned on the side, because it doesn't show you on top of their frame. So it's like, it can add-ons only change the way the information that WoW already shows you on their base UI is displayed? Because like for right now, like Rend and Deep Wounds will go under the bar of the nameplate it'll go on their little unit frame, but it will not go on the nameplate. But if you can show the Rend and Deep Wound on their nameplate because it's down here so you can see it, that's interesting. But yeah, you can't know what the cooldown is. But it doesn't know whether you or your target have a specific debuff currently active. That's very interesting. Interesting indeed. We debuted our alpha tests with the strictest version of this rule set, wanting to avoid a frustrating cat and mouse situation with add-on authors, pointing out loopholes in our logic, and us needing to keep tightening things down to preserve a level playing field. Whereas we have historically disabled all add-ons in early weeks of expansion alpha testing, this time we invited numerous add-on developers for the first wave of our tests. We wanted to give them a head start on updating their add-ons and hear early feedback on pain points. That input has been invaluable so far and led us to loosen restrictions in numerous areas that were causing needless collateral damage. Even with this more focused approach, we knew that limiting add-ons' ability to parse combat events in real time would have a significant impact on a wide range of popular and benign add-ons, such as damage meters that offer immediate insight into performance, boss ability timers that have been part of raiding since the very earliest days of WoW, and tools that make the game accessible to players with a range of disabilities. So alongside the Secret Values project, our team has also been working on building up native solutions in many of these areas, as well as creating new API hooks to allow add-on authors to access protected information in ways that don't risk competitive integrity. So they are going to they've said they're going to make their own damage meter. They do have their own boss timers, which you could use add-ons to reskin and show different stuff, right? And they do have the one-button rotation and other things, perhaps. I'm not sure what the accessible to players with the range disabilities would be, like add-on wise, but interesting. Those are things that they're already doing, I think, right? So here's some of them examples, I suppose. We've been rolling out base UI features over the course of the year, and that will continue during Midnight Beta. The Legacy of Arathor content update introduced the assisted highlight and one-button rotation tools to help players learn new specializations and improve overall accessibility. Yep. We implemented an early working version of a cooldown manager, knowing that it will need a lot of iteration, but wanting to ensure that we are getting all the needed feedback in a live environment. Midnight will feature a much refined version. So the cooldown manager is kind of like a bunch of weak auras on your screen that show you like your cooldowns, right? Midnight includes a new boss warning system, which allows players to see which boss mechanics are upcoming, while leaving the choice of how to handle them in players' hands. Yep. So it's like, you need to know that this thing is coming, but it's not like, take shelter, stack, spread. Like, it's not telling you that, but it's like, this mechanic is coming, right? But you still have to know what to do. That's cool. But I guess add-ons could still tell you this, maybe? Like, when this is coming, you could have DBM that just tells you to spread, I guess, maybe? We are in the process of adding a range of native accessibility improvements, such as built-in combat audio alerts, system that enables players to use text-to-speech and other audio cues for everything from player health to common combat events. Interesting. So you could have a combat audio that you set up yourself, perhaps? Over the course of beta, we'll be releasing improvements to our raid frames for healers, a built-in damage meter tool with server-side validation, and more. All right. While we work on limiting the ability of add-ons to give high-end performance advantage, we want to ensure that the baseline WoW experience is as approachable and accessible as ever. We know that if we are limiting add-ons functionality, we need to give all players the information that they need to succeed, and we need to tune our game accordingly, along with much clearer visual and audio telegraphs that may also mean having an extra second or two to react to a mechanic, or fewer things occurring simultaneously to keep cognitive load manageable. Okay, interesting. So the game is going to adapt to the fact that we don't have instant information telling us exactly what to do, but that might make things easier over time. We'll see. I still think that's kind of fun. I think that's good. We'll see how it goes. I'm up for it. Our end goal is for any given piece of content in Midnight, Mythic 10 Dungeon, Normal Difficulty Raid, Boss, Tier 8 Delve, whatever, to be roughly as challenging as it was in prior expansions, but for that challenge to be more fairly distributed across the player base. Okay. Do we... I feel like we're not reading chat during this. What are your guys' thoughts on it up to this point? I do want to make sure that we're going through this, but yeah, I know that you guys are chatting. Yeah. So, Going, you were saying that you need an add-on to do the fight on Mythic, or else it's not happening. There's no way any human can decipher where to go in 2 seconds on an add-on. Right. So that's what they're saying. Like, there's been a bit of an arms race where players have said that with the add-ons it's too easy, so they make it a little bit more complicated, and then things can be so complicated it can't be done without add-ons. Pretty much what he was saying, right? How is Classic affected? I don't think Classic... this doesn't sound like this applies to Classic, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure about that one. And what about macros? Macros are not add-ons, I don't think. Macros are just part of the game already. Like, I don't think there's any special... I mean, there may be special add-ons that allow you to make more macros or more complicated macros, maybe. Not sure. But yeah, macros are not the same thing as add-ons, I don't think. I feel like sometimes, no offense, I feel like sometimes, like, people fuss about macros without really knowing what they do or don't do. But yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They had to design encounters that would be interesting to people. It wasn't like they got feedback on that encounter after they made the encounter. It's like they've gotten feedback on other bosses, and they have just had their design. Like, once you get to a point like where you make a certain boss and people are like, okay, that boss is too easy. Like, okay, well, next time I guess we'll have to come up with more complicated mechanics, right? So it makes sense to me. It makes sense to me what they're saying. As people don't understand, the content design will change to reflect the new add-on philosophy. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. All right. So, why are some cosmetic add-ons breaking? I'd like to take a moment to address a technical nuance here. Many players have expressed confusion at seeing reports of some popular cosmetic add-ons no longer functioning as expected in Midnight. If we are only focusing on combat calculations, why are we seemingly breaking an add-on that only changes the appearance of player and raid target frames? Or just player and target frames. That is never our intent, but there are a few reasons why that might be the case currently in our Midnight test builds. The myriad authors who have created add-ons for WoW over the years have each chosen from among countless different approaches to structuring their code. As a result, 2 add-ons that provide nearly identical player-facing functionality might be quite dissimilar under the hood, and thus be affected very differently by the changes coming in Midnight. Some add-ons can and will work just fine in Midnight, but they have yet to be updated by their author. The work that they need to do may be very straightforward, or may take a more significant amount of time. Every expansion in WoW's history has required tweaks to all but the simplest of add-ons, thus the out-of-date add-ons pop up with each new major patch. Other add-ons, however, rely on implementations that don't merely reskin pieces of the WoW UI, but rather rebuild them from scratch using raw data about the current combat state. Unfortunately, that particular approach, while by no means inherently wrong, has limitations under our new secret values system. While there are some areas where we cannot bypass these limitations without opening the door to computational logic, we are trying to do everything possible to minimize collateral damage. For example, recognizing that many players enjoy abstract and custom ways of representing their current count of runes on a Death Knight or Holy Power on a Paladin, we recently made all class secondary resources fully non-secret. We are committed to continuing continuing to work with add-on developers and with the community at large to provide support for robust customization within this new framework. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, just having add-ons that just make stuff look different. That's kind of cool. Crazy they had to clarify this part. Hey, man, I mean, it's good to know, right? I mean, bro, people get confused about all kinds of stuff. But this is neat to know, too, you know? We need Bagnon-like things in game, too. You currently do have a one-bag system in game. What are you looking for Bagnon to do differently than that? It's gonna be interesting in PvP? Yeah, definitely, for sure. It's gonna be a lot of fun to, like, relearn stuff. Because you still know a lot about PvP, but, like, the way that you pay attention, the way that people do callouts in Arena is gonna be different and important. Because, like, calling out Warbreaker is, like, yeah, we all just heard it in our weak aura. But, like, you know, paying attention and listening to your teammates now will be maybe even that much more important, which will make it interesting, because that's going to be an element of, like, skill that has returned, whereas before it was like, you know, can you mentally process all these noises and, like, pop-ups and stuff with your weak auras and then make the right play. Now it's like you have to pay attention too, which is cool. So awareness is a big deal, and it's awareness of what's actually happening in the game rather than awareness of your spaceship UI, you know? Pretty cool. Yeah, I have to have stopwatches for PvP trinkets. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Hey, it's good for me, and I can just go back to what I did in Kata, where I just don't care about any of that stuff. I just attack people and just do damage. You know, just send it. just go on, just do goes off of vibes, you know? Back to basics. Sounds good to me. Another common question I've heard is, why do this now? Why not wait until all of our built-in functionality is fully polished and has had multiple rounds of feedback? Because now's the time! When I first started talking about our concerns with the impact of add-ons in the modern game nearly a year ago, we were still evaluating the feasibility of a solution, as well as the right time frame. Bro, sometimes you just gotta send it, man. It's a new expansion, send it. We'll figure it out as we go together. We got this. But we also wanted to gauge community sentiment around the general issue. WoW's history is littered with examples of the dev team trying to solve perceived problems that most players weren't really concerned about, and we wanted to reassure ourselves that we weren't headed down the same path here. We were happy to see a lot of positive reactions to the discussion. I'm not going to pretend that there was unanimous support, but the average take was something along the lines of, it would be great if add-ons weren't required, but I'm not sure I trust Blizzard to pull it off. And that's very fair. This is a huge and challenging project, and I don't expect blind faith in the absence of results. Hey, bro, I mean, I'm kind of blind faith, bro. You guys got this, I believe. Blizz Shilgira has invested my belief in you. You guys got this. Convinced that we were on the right. I mean, honestly, just like if they just deleted all the add-ons and just let us play the game just like that, that would still be interesting, I think. But it's all good. I think they got this. Convinced that we were on the right track with the aims of the project, we shifted to building a roadmap of what it would take to pull off this transformation. The team found that progress on the UI engineering front was moving faster than expected, both in terms of the secret values system and in terms of implementing some of the replacements we knew we'd need. That made readiness for the launch of Midnight a real possibility. These changes pretty much have to be made on an expansion boundary, yeah, you do, allowing us to build a full slate of content and systems that are meant for a post-add-on disarmament world. Oh, I just love that post-add-on disarmament world. Trying to ask players to relearn content mid-expansion without the tools they were using the day before would be a sure recipe for unhappiness, at the very least. And no matter how much we improve our native UI, we can't build mechanics that are trivially solvable by add-ons and expect that players won't use those tools so long as they still function. In the end, we were faced with a decision of either signing up for a couple more years of designing our content around powerful add-ons in ways that make it impossible for us to serve our whole community, or moving forward now and finding solutions within this new paradigm. And so, add-on disarmament is coming with Midnight, and the team is fully committed to giving the community all the support required, tweaking the logic around what is restricted, and making new access points available to add-on developers in order to make this transition successful. That is awesome. That is cool. I like it. You gotta do it now, Ian. You gotta do it now. What's next? As we kick off beta, we're excited to see a ton of new players get access to Midnight content, but we're especially eager to see structured testing of the end game. Yep, we're hitting level 90 today, Ian. We're coming. The changes to add-ons don't come in a vacuum. They're complemented by a new approach to building raid encounters, dungeon pulls, combat mechanics, and more. So we are looking forward to seeing players have that holistic experience, and we are looking for feedback not just on our UI or evolving add-on capabilities, but on aspects of endgame combat that might feel unclear or unfair without some of the tools you're accustomed to using. I'm, at this point, just going full natty. I'm using no add-ons on the beta so far. I'm just messing around with the tools they give me, and I'm just seeing how it feels. I feel like I might want to use different nameplates, and we will definitely see, like, if Gladius doesn't show trinkets, that's very interesting, for sure. We'll see. We'll see. We are going to be watching closely and listening to feedback throughout the beta. To us, the beta designation means that we have the entirety of the game's content ready for testing, but it is far from an endpoint to midnight development. Right. We will be agile and adaptive in close partnership with our community as we roll out regular updates in the weeks and months ahead, improving our base UI experience, adjusting tuning or presentation of mechanics, and adding new functionality for add-on developers. Thank you for taking the time to read through this. Hey, no problem, bro. I understand that this amount of change can be scary, and that it's natural to worry that the long-term benefits aren't worth the short-term disruption. We're going to do everything possible to ensure that your experience with Midnight is a great one, that customization and self-expression remain hallmarks of WoW's UI, and that the game is more approachable than ever. Great. This part right here is kind of funny. It's like he's shaping our thing. The long-term benefits aren't worth the short-term. They will be. That's fine. Good stuff, Ian. What do you guys think? Do you think they will allow Glad and 2s for the more skillful gameplay? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We will see. We will see. And they could just hire the add-on devs. Hey, maybe they did. Maybe they did. Maybe they will. We'll see. We'll see. But I think they probably also can look at what's up and get an idea of what's going on. But yeah, they could. Pretty cool though, huh? Am I horde on the beta? I am. Are you coming over? Yep, I'm about to be level 90, by the way. Yeah. None of the midnight changes exist on their own. Everyone sees something like 11 pallies do 11% less damage, something like that. Yeah. I mean, oh yeah, any like damage adjustments downward, everybody's gonna get mad about it. And any damage adjustments upward that somebody sees that's on a class they don't like, they're gonna get mad about it, but that's just part of the deal. But I mean, I think they should keep on not having damage meters for a while, because we need to be testing like how the talents and how the rotation and how the class stuff feels and if it's interesting and cool, and then they can tune it accordingly. They should just keep the damage meters off for a little while. That's the plan. Yeah, use your internal clock like real gamers go on pure instinct. Yeah, I like that. I like that, bro. Playing with the base UI is making you hate this. It's burning your eyes. Oh my gosh, the Gunganator. Enraged. I actually kind of like the all natty UI right now. I'm enjoying the breath of fresh air. You know, I'm out here just a Tauren arms warrior, just living the dream. I like that actually. It's a nice little refresher. That's cool. Anyway, this all sounds good to me. I'm glad that he addressed this. I feel like it was a lot of information, but I don't know. I'm pretty like all in on it anyway. Just giving us like, why now? It's a new expansion. We had to do it now. Why are some cosmetic add-ons breaking? Because some of them are trying to build from the ground up using information that was a secret, but maybe they'll change some of that anyway. What's changing? They're not letting people use the secret box, but they've taken some of these add-ons and they've sort of incorporated them into the base UI anyway, with more to come. Why? Because there was like this sort of arms race of making content interesting / making it trivial with add-ons, and they were like, well, we gotta be able to design the game the way that we want to and the way it makes sense, and not have players just have these tools that sort of change the experience that we're trying to create just because, you know, mechanics can be made completely trivial by add-ons. So they want to be able to design the game the way they want to and have the experience be a little bit more consistent, and I think that's cool. I think that's a really good thing for the continued progression of WoW. I think a lot of players look at WoW and they're like, what the heck? Every stream's UI looks completely different, which it still might, but you know, there's like a bazillion weak auras popping up and this is just too much. I'm not gonna get involved in this. And now it's gonna be like, well, maybe I'll give it a try. Maybe I'll give it a try. I think that's cool. I think that's what the maybe even past couple expansions have been doing, is trying to make the game more accessible and available to new and returning players, which is the most important thing for the continued history, you know, health of WoW, is to have new and returning players come back, give it a try, fall in love, and populate Azeroth. So I think this is a big, potentially scary change that like they're saying, but I think it's actually really exciting. It's kind of like a brand like new fresh start for World of Warcraft, which has been kicking butt for many years now. I've been playing WoW for what, 15 years now, just sort of had our 15-year anniversary of making my first video on YouTube, which is nuts, and still having a blast with it. And it's cool to see the game grow and evolve and reinvent itself. And I think this is one of those times where that's doing just that. I'm pretty excited. This sounds good. Good stuff, Ian. Take all the add-ons down. Let's build this thing fresh, anew, onwards to midnight. Sounds good to me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments and stuff. We'll keep talking this today on stream. But hey, man, Blizz Shilljira is pleased. I'd like to see how it goes. I'm excited. Keep it up.